The first cracks in the facade. By the 1680s, the first cracks began appearing in the carefully maintained illusion of royal perfection. Louis XIV's body was already failing him decades before his death, though few in his court dared acknowledge what they witnessed daily. The man who had spent his entire reign controlling every detail of court life found himself unable to control the rebellion occurring within his own flesh. His digestive system became a source of constant torment. Louis XIV suffered from what court physicians described as violent intestinal spasms that would strike without warning. These episodes confined him to his private chambers for hours at a time, doubled over in agony while his stomach cramped and his bowels emptied uncontrollably. The king, who had turned every bodily function into a public ceremony, now found himself desperately hiding the most basic human needs. He would emerge from these attacks pale and sweating, yet still expected to maintain the facade that nothing had changed in the kingdom. The state of his teeth became a diplomatic hazard. Years of consuming sugar-heavy desserts and drinking sweet wines had rotted his teeth down to blackened stumps. His breath carried such a foul odor that foreign ambassadors reportedly learned to position themselves upwind during audiences. Court painters began depicting Louis XIV with his mouth closed, a stark contrast to earlier portraits that had emphasized his confident smile. The king's own courtiers developed the habit of breathing through their mouths when speaking with him directly. Hemorrhoids made standing an exercise in torture. The Sun King, who had once danced for hours at elaborate court ballets, now found even short ceremonial appearances almost unbearable. He began conducting more business from his bed, claiming this represented a new level of intimate access for his courtiers. In reality, the cushions provided the only relief from the constant burning and pressure that made sitting on hard chairs impossible. His physicians applied various ointments and treatments, but these medieval remedies often made the inflammation worse. The court developed an elaborate system to hide his physical decline. Servants applied increasingly thick layers of makeup to conceal the gray pallor that had replaced his once healthy complexion, while his clothing incorporated padding to maintain the illusion of strength. Palace staff learned to arrange lighting and stronger perfumes to mask both his deteriorating appearance and the medicinal odors that clung to his person. The king's health had become a state secret, with court physicians required to take oaths of silence about any medical treatments they administered. As pain consumed more of his energy, Louis XIV's personality underwent a noticeable transformation. The king, who had once enjoyed witty conversations and elaborate entertainment, became increasingly suspicious and controlling. He questioned the loyalty of longtime servants and demanded detailed reports about conversations that occurred in his absence. His famous temper, once reserved for matters of state, now erupted over minor protocol violations or perceived slights. Courtiers walked on eggshells, never knowing which version of their monarch they would encounter on any given day. What makes this period particularly disturbing is how everyone involved pretended that nothing fundamental had changed. Official court bulletins continued to describe the king's health in glowing terms. Foreign diplomats received carefully scripted updates about his vigor and mental sharpness. The same rituals continued with the same pomp, even as the central figure grew increasingly frail and desperate. The machinery of absolute monarchy had become so complex that it continued operating even when the monarch himself could barely function. The court adapted around his limitations with the same precision they had once applied to ceremony and protocol. Servants learned to anticipate his needs before he expressed them, positioning cushions and arranging seating to minimize his discomfort. They developed signals to communicate his condition without speaking directly about his health. Audiences were scheduled for times when his pain typically subsided, and backup plans ensured that official business could continue even when the king remained confined to his chambers. The chilling realization that haunts this period is how predictable the outcome had become. What started as digestive problems and dental issues had revealed a pattern of systemic breakdown that no amount of ceremony could reverse. The minor ailments that court physicians dismissed as temporary inconveniences were actually symptoms of a body beginning to consume itself. Then came the first signs of what would eventually kill him. Small ulcers appeared on his left leg, no larger than coins and easily hidden beneath his silk stockings. Court physicians dismissed them as minor irritations caused by tight clothing or small injuries from riding. They applied simple herb poultices and assured the king that the spots would heal within days. No one understood that they were witnessing the first symptoms of a condition that would transform the Sun King into something unrecognizable. These seemingly insignificant wounds would soon become the focal point of a medical nightmare that would consume the final months of his reign.